Someone pissed off Kevin Feige. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle Haas. It's the original art page for cover A of my comic book. My artist Santiago Espina just sent this to me. So now I have the one-of-one official cover. Let me do some movie magic to hang it up in the background. There we go. Looks pretty good. Gonna stay up there for the Swaggle Haas backdrop for as long as I continue to do this YouTube channel. Kickstarter link in the description if you guys want to check it out. Anyways, we got to talk about some trouble in paradise. We got to talk about the Marvel Studios spoilers Reddit getting taken down by Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios. This is actually really big breaking news coming out in kind of the leaker sphere of everything that goes on with Marvel Studios, specifically that of the movies that it put out. And we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about what happened, kind of cover a little bit of the story of what this all means. And then later on, I'm going to talk about how I actually think that this might affect the comic book collecting market. But before I get into it, if you guys could drop me a like or comment or subscribe for enjoying the content, help support the channel doing those things, I would appreciate. But let's get into this video here today. Now, of course, if you guys happen to know or see from the thumbnail, the big news that broke yesterday, actually, that is, really people are catching up today with, is that one of the big subreddit pages called Marvel Studios Spoilers, which typically this page would leak a lot of information with all the scoopers and the leakers, and it would come out, and this is where you would get, the big announcements, the big rumors of like characters coming to the MCU. This is like the pages where people go to find out John Bernthal's returning as the Punisher. This is the pages where people will talk about, oh, James Spader is going to be returning as Ultron. And as you can see from their subreddit page, r/Marvel Studios Spoilers, it's currently in a private community with no signs of it returning anytime in the near future. You can see the moderators of Marvel Studios Spoilers have set this community as private. Only approved members can view and take part in its discussion. So it's currently frozen at the moment. And that has a lot to do with this story that came out on Variety, where Marvel wants details about who posted Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania leaked dialogue to Reddit and Google Docs. So let me just quickly read the article for you guys just to give a little bit of context, and then we can kind of talk about how this relates to the comic book market. Disney Marvel is trying to track down the identity of the person or people who allegedly released a 63-page transcript of dialogue from Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania online, 1 month before the film's theatrical premiere. A request filed Friday, March 10th, on behalf of Marvel in federal district court in California asked the court to issue a subpoena to compel Reddit to identify the person or group responsible for sharing dialogue from Quantumania to the Marvel Studios spoiler subreddit on or about January 20 of 2023. The film, starring Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, and Jonathan Majors, opened on February 17th. Marvel requested all identifying information for the user UMSS mods, as well as that of any other user responsible for posting, editing, and or maintaining the content. That was available on the subreddit, but is no longer for the period from January 15th to February 15th. The Marvel subpoena request was filed pursuant to the U.S. Digital Millennium Copyright Act. So let's just translate that and kind of give you guys the breakdown of what had actually happened. And actually, let me give you guys a little bit of context into the Marvel Studios subreddit page, basically, which, that is basically a Reddit page that would sort of gather and aggregate all of the various scoopers and leakers out there. So anytime there was, like I said, an announcement that, oh, James Spader might be returning to Armor Wars and he's going to reprise the role of Ultron or whatever, you'd end up getting the article, the link to that in the Reddit. And that is where the community of a lot of these people who talked about these scoops would gather. And a lot of the stuff would filter to the top that was legit. All of the trash stuff would get instantly deleted. So it was this really good way to kind of, sift through all the noise and figure out which of these rumors and leaks were actually viable and actually possibly, ones that were going to come true. Recently, the last couple months before we got the Ant-Man premiere, there was basically a script that got leaked onto this Reddit page, and it was actually up there, and there was a huge conversation around it. And that script basically, obviously shared all the details going into Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. I guess Marvel caught wind of this. They probably got really mad based on the fact that Ant-Man and the Wasp did very poorly at the box office. So, they're now trying to kind of eliminate all of these things that could have potentially hurt their business. And now we're in a place where this Reddit page has actually gotten taken down. And now how does this affect the comic book market? While I can't actually confirm this, what appears empirically true to me is that Key Collector would often report on, the articles of this subreddit that got heavily upvoted. So let me kind of just show you guys, sort of how this works when you go to the Key Collector Comics app. If you guys don't know, I'm a fan of Key Collector. I use Key Collector all the time. For their subscriber exclusive portion of their app, they have the hotkeys, which typically they, save this sort of button for, things that are actually confirmed. And then they have the spec deck. And the spec deck is usually where they'll report on, these various types of leaks and news and stuff. And as someone who does a YouTube channel here, uses Key Collector and peruses the Marvel Studios spoiler subreddit from time to time, it seemed obvious that, anytime there was a big news story on that subreddit, the book would then show up on Key Collector. So, here's the spec deck tab, and this is where you would get leaks of like Avengers 55, March 2023, James Spader rumored to reprise the role of Ultron in Armor Wars. Or you'd get, the Marvel Secret Wars #7, August 22, rumored to appear in the Madam Web, March 2023. Rumor from August is making the rounds again with Sydney Sweeney cast in the role of a version of Spider-Woman. And then you get like all the various leaks, rumor of the Grim Reaper showing up, rumor of this Kang variant showing up, rumor of, Danger being the villain of, whatever, the Deadpool 3 film. And ultimately, the reason that this is significant is that anytime you have a book show up in this tab on the spec deck, 9.9 times out of 10, it is always going to show up later that week on the trending 20 list. And as you guys know, once the book is on the trending 20 list, then it becomes, the FOMO book of the week, or, the book that, everyone starts to talk about, or, maybe I'll make a YouTube video that all of a sudden starts to talk about, hey, the first appearance of Danger seems to be really moving a lot in the market. And, we have this entire ecosystem built around this. And, this all kind of stems from a lot of the leaker scoops, that kind of come out of Reddit. Also, sidebar, I'm not saying that this ecosystem is a bad thing. I'm just explaining that this is how kind of the comic book collecting market has worked for a time. You would get these leaker scoops that would eventually make their way to the subreddit, and then the subreddits would filter through all of the noise. The ones that seemed legit would get heavily upvoted, and a lot of times, let me just tell you, just anecdotally speaking, like I'd say the ones that rose to the top, like 75 to like 80% of them ended up being true. So it was kind of this very, very reliable, accurate way for a lot of people who were interested in, the speculation of these films to get, the inside scoop of what was going to happen. And as you guys know, once you start to leak out some of these rumors, well, the comic book market really, really goes crazy. And so I kind of want to highlight, the perfect example here where, we got this recent rumor that Sydney Sweeney was going to be, playing the Spider-Woman character, Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars #7. This was definitely a rumor that, I remember seeing on that specific subreddit, or at least an article that was linked on that subreddit. And then sure enough, the news gets dropped here in the spec deck of Key Collector. A lot of people, hop on this book, and then it becomes, the #6 book right here on covrprice's top 10. I did my video yesterday with Go Collect's Trending Comics, where I was also talking about this book and how it's on, the Go Collect list as well. So, this is a book that, we can see the machine has created the hype and the speculation for it. And now it filters to the top of the charts in all the various hot lists that we, all look at, that we all act off in the comic book collecting market. And so now this becomes a really interesting thing for comic book collectors and sort of the behaviors that, we're going to see in this comic collecting hobby, and sort of all of the various, hot lists and, ecosystem of companies that are out there that talk about this stuff. How is this going to affect the market? Granted, there's still going to be the scoopers out there. They have their own individual Twitter accounts, and they have their own individual, paywalls that they do, the Patreons where they leak out their news and things like of that nature. I've never, gone so far as to do that side of it, but it did feel like this Reddit subreddit that kind of gathered all of this information was a huge central hub for a lot of people to get this news. And I do think that, this was a big part of where the speculation in the comic collecting market got a lot of news as well. And now that Marvel Studios has kind of officially banned this subreddit, I don't think that this thing is coming back. Like, I have a feeling that, Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios are probably now starting to really crack down on these leaks and these scoops and things that are coming out, in this world. And, it's really not that hard to get these leaks and these scoops. It's really like, think about all the people that work on these Marvel movies, here working in entertainment. Just all of the post studios that are constantly doing VFX. There's so many VFX artists that are working on this stuff. And those VFX artists are all, they're all on their computers. They all understand this world. They all understand, the Reddit and the Discord world and message boards and things of that nature. And that's why, a lot of these things end up becoming true because, the people are there. The people are working on this stuff and they're into it and they're into, having these leak conversations as well. And now that's going to have a ripple effect on the comic book market. And, it's interesting as I think about it, the behaviors of how, the market has been unfolding here in these last, I'd say, 2 years or so, where a lot of the leaks seem to be the times when you have the peak FOMO in the market. Before it used to be that people would see the trailers and that would cause, the biggest ripples in the FOMO and the purchases on all eBay and et cetera, et cetera. But now it's like anytime you get these scooper news, that's really what, takes books to the moon. But I have a feeling that, if we're going to start to get less reliable scooper news, like if now the leaks are behind Patreon paywalls and there's not a central place for, leakers to kind of share rumors and share all the news, we're not going to have the leaks that are able to sort of rise to the top and then, spread out into the, comic book collecting market. And that's going to have an effect on the behaviors of a lot of FOMO and a lot of speculators. So I don't know. I think it's very, very interesting. I think that this could actually be big news for how comic books behave in the future. I think if there's less attention on these leaks that are actually coming out there, if it's just more, just the very, very niche, super hardcore people that are into this stuff are the only ones paying attention. Well, I think that actually might have an effect where, you start to get trailers becoming the thing that a lot of the speculation market reacts off to the most. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. That was me just kind of breaking down the Marvel Studios leaker subreddit, or Marvel Studios spoilers subreddit, getting taken down by Marvel Studios. Let me know what you guys think. Were you guys ever users of this subreddit? Do you think that this is going to have an effect on the spec market? Drop me a like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Kickstarter, still live, link in the description. Go check it out. I'll see you on the next video.